Joining the army to this day, and I probably can honestly say that even in 30 years time, I'd still say the same thing. Joining the army was the biggest turning point in my life by far, because it took such a mindset shift for me to stay there. Because whenever I first applied, when I first went and done the fitness test to join and all that stuff, I was so confident in myself because of the boxing background. Whenever I realised that, number one, you're the smallest guy in the barracks. Like, there's a barracks here with over 1,000 troops. You stick out like a sore thumb. Like, I was 8 stone, I was skinny, I had a huge birthmark on my face, and I had no confidence from day one. And again, like, I was never bullied or anything in any way, shape or form, but that was just me, my own limiting beliefs that was kind of like holding me back. After 3 to 4 days, then we got issued uniforms. And I can remember whenever we got issued the uniform, the tailor actually said it to me. He said, I've never taken uniform in this much in my whole life. And that just completely shattered my confidence to the point where, like, I actually rang my mother and I said, look, I want to leave. I just don't think it's for me. And she was asking why, and I was coming up with all these different excuses. And really, I just said, I goes, look, being honest, it's just not for me. I just feel intimidated. I just feel that I don't really fit in here. Like, I'm small, I'm skinny, the uniform is absolutely hanging off me, and I just don't want to be here anymore. The very first week, whenever we were actually lining up to go in and get issued our uniforms, so everywhere you go in the army, it's regimental. Like, you march, you line up, you stand in line, you don't look left or right. And I can remember one instructor is like a big, intimidating guy. Connor Coleman is his name.
First day when you come in, you were obviously introduced to the staff and were introduced to recruits, and your first impressions, obviously, of Martin was that he was very small in stature and looked very young. Even though you had to be 17 to come in, he looked a lot younger than that. And obviously the first time that I met him, when I did approach him, the first question I asked was, does your mother know you're here? Because he looked as if he should be still in school.
He was like, holy you, you know? And it's funny how things change, because he was looking at me saying, does your mother know you're here? And, you know, he couldn't have said anything else, because, like I said, I stuck out like a sore thumb. I didn't shave. I was like the skinniest, smallest guy probably that ever joined the army. I was tiny. I had to rely on my own character. Like, obviously I built up a lot of discipline. I built up like a lot of resilience and stuff through the boxing. But like I even said as well, there was times when I was boxing when I had to rely on other people to kind of like pick me up, you know, and help me get through disappointments or help me overcome obstacles. And it was the exact same thing in the army. Like, within 3 to 4 days, I found leadership. My first tour of duty overseas would have been Liberia in 2004. Like, I was 18 years old, so I was only literally just turned 18. I think it was like 3 weeks after my 18th birthday. So going away from home for a long period of time was obviously something like that that I was probably a little bit anxious about, a little bit worried about. But like, obviously having Pat with me was a big support, because we could always just, like, you know, be there for each other, support each other. Especially being away from home, like, both of us were really young for such a long period of time. Like, our dad actually had an accident on Christmas Day, a serious kind of car accident and stuff. So even being able to just be there for each other and stuff when things like that happen at home, it's really, really important. And not even just us, I suppose, like, having other people around you, like, you know, friends and like and leaders and stuff like that are there in the environment to give you support as well was massively important, you know. There has to be someone that's able to lead by example and set the higher standard, because, like, no matter what walk or exercise or navigation exercise you do in the army, there's a goal. Like, there's a mountain top, and at the bottom of that there's a truck. And essentially the people who can't, you know, maintain the standards or stay with the pace, they're going to end up in the truck. But as leaders, like, we don't want anyone to end up in the truck. We want to bring as much people to that mountaintop as possible, because that's developing them. And that's our role. That was, like, my role as leader in the army, was not to, like, just set high standards and set a high pace. It was to develop all these people that you're working with. So your goal wasn't to get them on as fast as possible. Your goal was to bring as many people with you as possible, and making sure that they don't end up in the truck, so they have that sense of achievement. You've elevated their confidence, so the more confidence they have in themselves, like, as a human being, the more they're going to be able to put that into the rest of their career. I was at a stage in my career where I knew I wanted to, like, just test myself that bit more. and the sniper course was something that always just appealed to me for a number of reasons. Like, firstly, I would have looked up to a lot of guys in my barracks who I would have done courses with in the past, especially leadership courses, and they were snipers, and it was just their standards, you know, the way they carried themselves, the way they conducted themselves. It just appealed to me, which was one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to challenge myself with that course. So whenever I was training for it, your skill set has to be high. So I was like doing a lot of navigation, doing a lot of map reading, doing a lot of walking over the mountains by myself during the weekends and stuff in order to train for that course. But I remember about a week beforehand, I was actually coming down off the mountain. So I was navigating over the mountain at night time, just to kind of sharpen my skills. And I was coming down off the mountain. And when I got over a fence, I jumped off. I had about like 60, 70 pounds on my back. And I can remember landing on my ankle, and straight away I could just feel the ankle completely ballooning. Initially, anyone, when you go over an ankle, you know it feels like you've snapped it, but it wasn't the case. You know, it was just a heavily sprained ankle. But so I was deflated, because I was thinking in the back of my mind, I'm after putting all this effort, all this training into the course, and there's a chance now that I won't be able to attend or participate in the course. And then I remember thinking on the way home, I started to take a bit of comfort, because I was thinking, well, if I can't do the course, at least I can't fail. Because the sniper course is such a high failure rate, like it's definitely like 80% failure rate or thereabouts. So I was thinking, if I can't do it, then I can't fail. So it means people can't judge me, people can't laugh at me or anything like that for failing the course. And then I started to realise that was just like a limited belief, and I kind of sat on it, and I kind of questioned myself a little bit more why I was kind of feeling like that. And I realised that like the fear of failure and the fear of what people think was kind of like holding me back a little bit from really putting myself out there and challenging myself in things that I wanted to challenge myself in. And the more I sat on it, the more I realised that fear of failure, it's only a limited belief, okay, if you don't act on it. And for me, that just drove me more to act on that. That just like motivated me, it lit the fire in me that little bit more to do everything I could to recover, to make sure that I was in a good, healthy position to start that course and succeed and pass the course. And that's obviously what I did in the long run. I've even used that scenario to coach a lot of people through situations where they fear things. You know, within my coaching program, people fear so many different challenges. And when I can use situations like that and just like resonate with them and say, look, I've been in your shoes. I've been in challenging situations where I feared failure, but I didn't let it limit me. I took action, and this is what happened at the end. And this is like this badge, this sniper badge, is something I can show to my kids or my grandkids further down the road that not a lot of people can say. I was learning all of these skills in the army. So like I was taking so many different things from a personal development level, from like sniper courses, leadership courses. And I suppose I had to kind of decide, how am I going to translate these skills into civilian life and be able to impact other people and just contribute beyond myself in that way. So like over like a 7-year period, I started building up a lot of personal development courses. I was doing like, you know, mindset training, I was doing like strength and conditioning courses with Satanta College, nutrition courses, and then I went on to do some sports nutrition and stuff as well. And I was just building and building and building. And while I was doing that, I was doing like thousands of one-to-one personal training sessions outside of the army over that period. I was involved with training teams, with sports performance and stuff like that. So I was building up a lot of experience outside of the army. But the actual transition itself, it just happened in an instant. You know, I didn't plan to like transition into civilian life. I was after doing a personal development course, and it kind of made me realize that I wasn't really living in line with my values. I wasn't really living in line with, you know, coaching and leading in things that I'm really, really passionate about and contributing beyond myself in that aspect of my life. And loads of people were telling me like that I was crazy to kind of step away, because you have to remember, I'd 17.5 years done in the army. If I just stayed at 21, I would have had a pension, a really good pension for the rest of my life. But the reality is the pull wasn't there in 3 or 4 years down the road. The pull was no. And the belief that I had in myself that I could go out and contribute beyond myself within the health and fitness industry was right now. I suppose it's down to having that belief is why I'm impacting like hundreds of people's lives. It's having that belief is why I've been able to build good relationships, make friendships with other people. There's been people who've come through my program, and being honest, there's people there that you won't even see on social media, have been in really, really dark places, and I've been able to help them get back into a much, much better position where they're confidence is increased, their belief is increased, and are now pushing themselves outside their comfort zone in their own life.